So it's time for the new and improved season roundup. Usually what I would do is I'd cover all my favorite anime in one video, but I decided, you know what, one, you already know what anime I like if I'm already covering it week by week, and two, I do enjoy more than just anime, so anything I enjoy over a 3-month period is now what season roundup will be, and hopefully you guys are going to enjoy as well. So let's kick it off with, of course, anime, because, well, that is kind of what everyone is usually here for. First off, we have Jojo Part 6 Stone Ocean. The first core dropped on Netflix in one big batch, and honestly, I was a little hesitant to watch Jojo in this format, but watching it 2 episodes at a time, 2 episodes per video, was a really fun experience, and they leave you off in a kind of mid-season cliffhanger where it's a decent stopping point, making you excited for more, without completely blue-ballsing you either. By setting the characters in a prison setting, you see all the characters limit themselves with their abilities and what they can and say and do and all these other fun things, with a really great cast of characters and a really interesting wide variety of powers. Really, JoJo just gets better every single part for me. You had probably my new favorite anime of all time, or at least it's trying to fight to that spot, Ranking of Kings. At first, you're probably looking and you're like, oh, this is a Studio Ghibli film, like, what's going on? This is from Wit Studio, the people who first started Attack on Titan, but what you'd follow is a kid who can't hear, who's very limited in what he can say and do, as a kingdom mocks him as he's next entitled to the throne. You have morally gray characters left and right, and nothing is ever what it appears to be. You might look at this as a cute family film that would normally be from a Ghibli studio, but what you're actually getting is one of the more darker, mature stories surrounded by this cute atmosphere with some of the biggest Sakuga moments that you're not going to know are Sakuga because they're hidden in plain sight. This show is pure quality, and no one should sleep on arguably one of the best anime that has ever been made. You had a double dose of Demon Slayer. First you had the rebroadcasting of the Mugen Train arc in TV format. The episode 0 or episode 1 was brand new to really kind of tie into the movie content, which actually further fleshes out Rengoku's kind of mission a bit more. And then we got a taste of the next arc, which is the Red Light District or Entertainment Districts. Both of those, even as a rewatch and brand new content, Demon Slayer just feels like it's really getting its momentum going. Season 1 definitely gets everyone excited, but with those 2 arcs, the train and the entertainment district, you just really are getting to see characters push to their absolute breaking points, and in some cases, characters can't come back from said breaking point. And Demon Slayer really, to me, is just getting better. It's a little crazy it's not as talked about as much in the West as Season 1 was, because honestly, Mugen Train and Entertainment Districts are probably the best content we've seen yet. You had the second core of Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. It was really great to see Rudy's character arc just really further flesh out, because he started off as not a great person in most people's eyes, but the self-reflection and the beautiful directing, having the opening be a part of the episode's story, having a unique opening to play for each setting, having little slice of life scenes just build character. What you get to see is an ensemble cast of characters that make equally right and wrong choices, but being presented as human first and foremost. I think often too many people try to relate to everything that they watch, and in return they feel offended because, oh, I would never do this personal choice. The whole point of a story and a great writer is to push what you would do normally with your own moral compass and see how characters realistically would respond if they acted a certain way. And seriously, this is easily one of the best isekai series to ever be made. It's not even up for argument. You had the second core of 86. Now, of course, we had the last couple of episodes be delayed because production schedules, they lost their TV slots, but what we got to experience with the second core is equally as memorable as the first. You're really starting to see characters who were prepared to die on the battlefield now unsure of how to live a normal life seemingly. And the PTSD of going from a weapon to trying to be a person, it's portrayed in some of the most realistic ways, especially on a certain character, Shin's side, where his breaking mentality and anguish is unlike anything I've seen in this medium, and is easily some of the best character writing I've seen for a broken, worn-toward soldier who really is just a kid at the end of the day. You had Faraway Paladin that on paper you're probably thinking, oh, this doesn't look all that interesting, not the craziest art design or animation, but what you get to experience is this slow burn surrounding family and religion, but it's done so in such an interesting way. Often when you have isekais or fantasies and they have religious aspects, it's just really not all that interesting, but when with the character Will, the idea of how gods and goddesses are worshipped and kind of like they bless these characters, it creates such a unique atmosphere that really you're not going to find yourself comparing it to other series. Initially you might say, oh, this reminds you of a Mushoku Tensei, as even the author of Faraway Paladin says that was a original inspiration. But very quickly, you're going to see this be something that's really unlike anything you've seen, despite some similarities at first glance. And really, besides that, I don't want to spoil it in case you are going to check this one out, because there's definitely some interesting twists and turns with things you think are going to be generic and turn out to be remarkable. And last up on the anime block, I'd say Mieruko-chan. This was a show that mixes fan service, horror, thriller, slice of life, comedy into one unique package. The idea of a character being able to see spirits and pretending not to see them because she doesn't want to shit her pants, she doesn't want to get killed by what she sees as monsters, isn't the most unique topic, especially if you've seen any sort of movies or TV shows that have been made in the West. What makes this one so interesting is how it really uses the anime medium to its full potential to create such a horrifying and hilarious and spooky atmosphere that has character arcs that really shook me in my core, being like, I didn't see that one coming, and I really have no idea where they're going to go next. This is something that I really need to see a season 2 someday. It's probably going to be a decent way to get there. But seriously, this one is a very impressive show that I might even go as far to say is one of the best depictions of horror I've ever seen in this medium. Now, changing it up to games. Now, I started playing this one in October, that being Deathloop. And typically when you have these sort of loop game mechanics, where you try to beat the game in one loop, and then if you die, you start back from ground zero. Typically, I'm not the biggest fan of those because I feel infuriated. Even if it's my fault for dying, I don't want to have to keep doing the same things over and over and over again. But when it comes to the main character, Cole, he's such a hilarious character that constantly is talking shit to the main antagonist of the game, Julia, and you're not sure exactly what's going on and why she's causing this weird looping mechanic. The great thing about the mechanics is that when you pick up notes or you pick up items, not only are your informations retained when you do start over from scratch, when it comes to the game mechanics, whether it's weapons, powers, you have the ability to fuse it to your character if you have enough of the currency so that when you loop again, you're not going to have to reset and try to find your favorite gun again. The idea of trying to kill all these different targets in one loop, in 4 sequences, day, afternoon, evening, night, all these fun things, it really creates probably one of the best mechanics and easily was my favorite game of this year. I really enjoyed it, and with the PS5 controller with all the different sound effects and different trigger, because with the PS5 controller, depending on the gun, you can actually program it, or the game developers can, so that when you pull it, you have a different trigger sensation, which was really cool. Deathloop was incredible, and I think is honestly worth a PS5 for that one alone. Yet the remaster of Alan Wake, if you've never played Alan Wake, it follows the story of a writer named Alan Wake, and you follow his story where he seemingly trapped himself in this weird supernatural phenomena, and in return you have to fight darkness in order to try to free your love from her own captivity. The interesting mechanic is that you use light to bring down the darkness, and then you use an arsenal of weapons with limited ammo, and sometimes you're forced to flee. Having a remaster of this game, while it's not going to blow you away by today's standards, anyone who's never played it and those who have are going to get the best experience of this game. And for many fans of Alan Wake, myself included, we've been wanting a remaster of this game as well as a sequel, and both of those have now been delivered, and the sequel can't come soon enough for me. The Pokemon Brilliant Diamond reimagines my favorite gen of Pokemon. I love the Diamond Pearl Platinum era, and seeing it in this kind of like reimagined chibi form with some modern twists like modern EXP share, it's not going to blow away, I think, people who are brand new to the series. It's definitely there for nostalgia, but for someone like myself, I got to play through once again my favorite gen, and it was just a blast to play. Every time Pokemon comes out, there's always the argument and people get mad, but for me, every time Pokemon comes out, I have a grin on my face. I feel like I was when I was 8 playing this, and it just is always a blessing for me. But hey, the internet loves to be mad. You had Mario Party Superstars, which was an absolute blast. I love the Mario Party games. I still have my N64 hooked up, playing Mario Parties 2 and 3 with my fiance, and having 5 of the best Mario Party boards reimagined from the N64 era with over 100 mini-games from all the different Mario Parties. It's just a culmination of the best Mario Party has to offer without any of the annoying gimmicks like motion controls and really lackluster board design and game design. And having just it really feel like the best of modern Mario Party and old school Mario Party without any of the bullshit and fluff. I'm not sure how fun it would be playing by yourself. I used to do that as a kid, as sad as that may be. But playing with my partner, I mean, we had a blast playing max turns and doing some crazy things I never got to do as a kid, like stealing 3 stars at a time on Boo's Haunted Board Map. I mean, there's just a lot of fun to be had with this game. And maybe with the multiplayer, even if you're playing solo, you should probably still be able to have a fun time with it. And with Halo Infinite finally out, first of all, campaign absolutely fantastic. The the grapple hook is one of the best ideas they've ever had with Halo. Just scaling this giant world, you'll look at things and you'll say, wow, this world seems so boring to want to traverse. Like, if I have to get to objective A, I'd have to either walk completely around or find a banshee to fly up. But no, once you upgrade your grapple hook, you can just scale anything, even with cooldowns. It is so damn fun, and the story definitely, whether you were a fan of 343 stories or not, I think it kind of brings 343 and Bungie stories together in nice harmony. And the multiplayer is honestly the most fun I've had since Halo Reach, which was my favorite Halo multiplayer. The customization when it comes to the monetary system, given it is a free multiplayer, so they have to make money. The unfortunate thing is unlocks and progression and the very scammy monetization system needs to be improved, but in terms of pure fun, I mean, this game's absolutely fantastic. You had Squid Game basically breaking the internet. I actually didn't watch this show until about a week or two after it initially aired, and really I wasn't watching because of the hype. I was just like, oh, Netflix originals typically are pretty good, let's check it out. And honestly, this was one of my favorite things I consumed this year, because death games and battle royales, they aren't an original genre, but just because you're not the first to do something doesn't mean you can't be one of the best to do it. And it's one of those shows that I immediately when finishing it, I thought to myself, I hope it gets a season 2, but I hope it only gets a season 2, because there's definitely progression that you can see with one of its main characters. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen it just yet. There's something to still flesh out, but as long as they don't rehash what they did with season 1, you can definitely see it being a very conclusive 2-season show. But the idea of just taking modern children game and forcing characters to basically fight to the death, a very interesting take on society, what people will do for money, and the idea of capitalism and all these other things. Great acting, and I mean, it really has kind of opened the door to Korean dramas for me, and actually quite a few now I'm kind of looking at saying, wow, this actually looks really interesting. And as long as you have one of those breakaway shows that can like get through such a giant audience, you're always going to have something that's going to be amazing. I really enjoyed Squid Game, and I've actually rewatched it a couple of times. Now, The Guilty is a Jake Gyllenhaal film, which pretty much takes place in one location. You have this kind of dispatcher who apparently is a failed cop of some sort. We don't really know too much throughout the film until the very end. And basically, he's on dispatch duty, and throughout the film, you get kind of clues about what happened, what forced someone who should be on the field basically behind a telephone, and you get this call from a woman, and he's basically doing everything he can, trying to break the rules and bend the rules and break people to help who he thinks is a victim and to try to get her to safety. Throughout the film, you definitely don't know exactly what's going on, and by the time it reaches that finish line, the acting from Gyllenhaal is incredible. It's why he's one of my favorite actors. No matter how good of a script he has, he can make something interesting. Luckily for him, the dialogue in his script matched his acting chops, and what you got to experience is some of the most range you're probably going to see, and I personally think is up there with some of his best performances to date. Give The Guilty a shot, watch it with a friend, because when I was watching with my partner, we were blown away watching this incredible film, and one actor can really make what should be a boring setting into something that's completely exhilarating. Arcane is kind of like what I always wanted to see from League. I've always looked at the character designs and I've looked at some of the lore and said, that seems interesting, but I just don't enjoy playing the game. And Arcane comes along, produces this incredible animated series, taking all that lore, all the characters, some of the craziest animation, and just really create something that, whether you're an anime fan, whether you're a normie online who doesn't watch too many animated things, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy Arcane, and I'm excited for that season 2. The fight scenes were amazing, and it's an interesting take on ethics and morality and what people are willing to do for the progression and who gets left behind all in the making. I mean, Arcane was amazing and was definitely worth the hype. You had the latest season of Aggretsuko as well, the 4th season. I've always said it since basically season 2. I could watch 10 seasons of this show. The episodes aren't overly long or overly short. It's at that nice middle spot of like 12 to 18 minutes. And the idea of finally progressing one of the main romances forward while also having the idea of a company being shifted in leadership style and the layoffs and what can happen there. The show mixes relatability with cute animal character designs, and you really can't beat that. You had the 2nd season of The Witcher finally dropping. I was a big fan of the 1st season of The Witcher, despite some confusion at times with timelines. I always get it mixed with past and present even when rewatching it. But finally getting that 2nd season, I mean, if there was a perfect casting choice, it would have to be Henry Cavill, who is Geralt of Rivia. I mean, I love the games, I know a little bit about the books, but really, it doesn't matter to me how close of an adaptation it is. The show is great, in my opinion. The cast, I think, across the board is great. and finally being able to have a season full of Geralt and Ciri together is what any fan of The Witcher wants to see, and both of those casting choices are completely spot on. And I'm so glad we already know there is a third season. It was announced before season 2 even dropped. And last up, we had No Way Home, Spider-Man, the final of the first trilogy with Tom Holland. I mean, even if you somehow stayed off the internet, it was one of the worst kept secrets what was going to happen in this film, and I'm going to be nice and not spoil it, besides what was revealed in trailers, but having the villains from the first Spider-Man trilogy, the first duo with Andrew Garfield, it has that kind of fan service without it being pointless fan service. The characters are there for a reason, and you almost get like this nice bow to tie up everyone who came back for this movie story, while pushing Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the direction I think a lot of people wanted to see, but doing it in a way that hasn't been redone. Because whether you're a fan of the Maguire Spider-Mans or the Garfield Spider-Mans, there's a lot of similar elements to it, but honestly, Holland's Spider-Man, in terms of how they directed it with Marvel, with Iron Man, and everything like that, while it definitely took a bit longer to get to certain places that many people wanted to see, it was really refreshing, and I think was without a doubt the best of his 3 movies, and it'll be exciting to see where they go from here, given Marvel's not going to let that boy go no matter what he says. He's just negotiating for that money. But that's all for this video for Season Roundup. I really enjoyed this one. I like kind of branching out and talking about everything I enjoyed, and hopefully people did as well. Let me know what you enjoyed from the past 3 months, whether it's anime, games, movies, TV, whatever the hell you enjoyed. Hell, even if you built a Lego set, let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.